Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Today we're going to talk about Chanel price increases. Yes, yet again. I have an article here from Business of Fashion that was just published now, and it reads, Chanel increases prices in China as concerns about luxury demand mount. Now, the price increases are not just in China, but this is kind of the headline, and we're going to get into all the details. But first, subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already, you can push the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video. And also, you can push the join button next to the subscription button. Become a member today, get access to extra perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob all spelled together there as well for extra perks. Thank you to my members and patrons who already pledged. This video, in fact, is being filmed in front of a live virtual audience. I live stream several times a week, so you're all welcome to join the live chats. Hi, co-chatters in the chats on the sidebar. You guys, so this is really fascinating to me because I thought to myself, well, I know that Chanel increases their prices, give or take twice a year. Some pieces go up twice a year. Some pieces I've seen go up more than twice a year. Major price increases might not always happen twice a year, but during the pandemic, they did. And oh boy, were they steep. So I know that their latest price increase, at least for Europe, was beginning of March for all their beauty, perfume and beauty products. That was a huge price increase, 7 to 15/20% on some items. Everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. Then, I know that Australia got another price increase literally a couple of weeks ago, or was it a month ago? And then China, amidst really slow reopening of the economy because they had a really strict lockdown during, the pandemic, and they're still going through it. In the midst of all of this and prices, and people not spending money, people being locked in their homes, not being able to walk around, not really working anymore, not earning anymore. Well, Chanel is like, you know what, let's raise our prices again in China. And this happened late September. And so it says here that Chanel increased prices of its high-end products in China in September amid a slowdown in demand for luxury goods worldwide after the post-pandemic boom years. Interesting how Business of Fashion mentions luxury's boom years, the lockdown years. And it is true. If you think about it, that's when all these luxury brands experienced a huge jump in sales because people were at home, working from home. They couldn't travel. They couldn't do holidays. They couldn't do, leaves of any kind. So all that money that they would usually spend on a 1 week, 2 week vacation somewhere, that's extra money that they had to spend on wallets, bags, shirts, small leather goods, what have you. And people did spend that money, and the brands did retaliate by upping their prices considerably over and over and over again. Chanel doesn't seem to want to stop doing that. And the post-pandemic boom years. More and more of these articles are talking about this in a terminology. If you can read between the lines, it's like they're all stating to us between the lines that the boom years are over. And it's not just connected to the fact that, well, this is just my opinion only. I don't believe, or I don't think that the slowdown is connected just to the fact that the pandemic is over. People are starting to, work every day in their lives again, and that extra money is not available anymore for luxury. I don't think it's just that. I also think people are oversaturated with stuff. We've had a lot, and it's kind of at a certain point, we've had a lot, and we've had it for better prices. Now the prices are so bad that we're like, I already have really cool stuff at home. Like, I don't need to now spend even more for this. You know what I mean? Like, what for? But the brands seem to be really spoiled in a way. Now they're used to us spending all that money. Now they're like, yeah, no, you got to spend more. You got to spend. What for? Your quality is shit. That meme of those two girls live streaming, little tiny girls, and like they're doing like this, yeah, showing like a fashion, showing out, and then the mom didn't know that they were live streaming. She doesn't care. The mom comes in, barging in to the bedroom of the two little girls, and she's like, which one of you's left the shat in the toilet? With the accent, It's disgusting. Flush the toilet. That's kind of the situation I'm feeling right now with fashion. I'm like that mother that's entering that room, and all the fashion houses are like still like, you know what I mean? Like Chanel, Hermes, Louis Vuitton, Dior. They're all sitting there and they're all like in front of the camera, still like, yes, and we got, you know, our perfumes just went up in price yet again, and now they're $300, you know, and I'm like barging in on them into the room, and I'm like, which one of yous is lifting the prices again? And the quality is shite. Disgusting. It's literally me right now. And now they're saying in the article that Chanel also raised their prices in Taiwan, Thailand, Malaysia, Australia, and Japan. But then a spokesperson, and this is where things get interesting, a spokesperson for the luxury brand said, citing fluctuations in exchange rates, overall prices have risen between 6% and 8%. And then they quote to have said, this is something we regularly do in line with our commitments made in terms of price harmonization, the representative said in an emailed statement. Now, as a person who worked in PR and brand marketing, let me analyze this little sentence with you. Let's reread it. This is something we regularly do, meaning the price increases, in line with our commitments made in terms of price harmonization. If I had a nickel every time, listen, it's the phrasing. This is something we regularly do. Notice how he does not repeat price increases, because that's negative. So he's trying to normalize to us who are reading the fact that price increases have to happen. He doesn't say they're price increases. He was asked, why do you do price increases so often? He doesn't answer, we do price increases so often because. He doesn't do that. Instead, he says, this is something we regularly do in line with our commitments made in terms of price harmonization. Commitments made. That is a very clever but very, very nasty formulation. By stating our commitments made, what he's trying to convey to you is that they have committed to something good. Because we're used to, in everyday conversation, when you say you will commit to something, it's usually connected to somebody telling you, do better, do this better, make the world a better place, stop throwing garbage on the floor, recycle. And then you're going to say, yes, I agree with you, you're right, I commit to paying attention where I throw my garbage next time. I commit to doing zubera, you know what I mean? So he's using the terminology that makes it sound like he is committing to something. In other words, he's saying, I promise to do better. But in reality, what he's telling us is that that commitment is in terms of price harmonization. It's like he's saying that price harmonization, another nasty word, price harmonization, they're making it sound like they are bringing in harmony between the different markets, different currencies. They're doing something good for you, the customer, because they are harmonizing prices around the globe so that there's not a big discrepancy between the Chanel bag you're going to pay for in China as opposed to the Chanel bag you're going to pay for in Europe. But what he's not telling you is that in reality, all of the world prices are running after the European baseline price of the Chanel goods, like all European luxury goods that are based in Europe. That's why they're always the cheapest in Europe. So the price goes up there. Not because they're harmonizing, because they want to. Then the rest of the world follows with their harmonization. So they justify the price increase with the so-called commitment to harmonizing prices worldwide. So you see, basically he's telling you, dear Chinese customer, you're welcome. We have raised the prices for you. Okay? We are raising our prices. We are making the products you are purchasing more expensive. And we're doing it to do you a favor because we have committed to harmonizing prices worldwide. You see what's happening here? Instead, he could just say, you know what? This little baglet costs us $200 to make, speculating here. Let it even cost $300, $400 to make. I'm a luxury brand and I want to charge you $10,000 for it. I don't need to, but I want to. And I want to keep upping the price twice a year. And the quality, let me save some money on quality control. Let me purchase cheaper leathers. Let me buy the leather that looks like it's plasticky. And I'll still charge you $10,000 because I am a luxury brand that the whole world knows about. So I can leverage my notoriety to sell something really expensive to you. So what the conversation should be about, and I'm a little bit disappointed with Business of Fashion as well because they should have pushed in that direction to be like, okay, why up the prices in the first place? Before you make the second step, which is harmonizing them the rest of the world at a certain point because of inflation and blah, blah, blah. Well, for the price increases, then one step before the price harmonization commitment, they're going to talk about, well, raising costs in production and raw materials, blah, blah. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. I don't believe you anymore. I don't believe you that you need to make a bag cost $10,000 plus when other brands that actually have better leather than you don't charge as much. Period. So no. You can use that excuse up until a certain price point. You know what I mean? You can keep saying, I got to up the price because costs are rising costs. Okay. But at a certain point, your bag is way outside of the ballpark of any reasonable production costs. At a certain point, you are literally gaslighting your client. It's just my opinion only, of course, but that's my opinion. Patricia Casey in the chat says, how amazing that he delivered bad news with such positive wording. Dacob, now you explained why my instincts were giving me the ick. There you go, Patricia. You're welcome, sweetie. It's just crazy how the classic flap is much more expensive than a Birkin now, says Unsolicited Opinions by Yella. Totally true. Totally true. JJ Colburn says, the irony is all this harmonizing creates cognitive dissonance. Carrie's... But fundamentally, JJ, this is the point. You know what that means. Most of the masses aren't even going to know that there's such a thing as cognitive dissonance. So they can leverage on all of that as much as they want, all the brands, because they're also really grateful and thankful that there's lack of education in the world because people are dumb nowadays. So they're not dumb because they want to be dumb. They're made dumb because the system works that way. You're not supposed to get an education. You're not supposed to afford an education. You're not supposed to afford one because the dumber you are, the more they can control you. They want to keep you dumb. It is in their interest to keep you dumb. You know? It's insane. It's insane. And then they, offer us a comparison. They say, and this is interesting how Business of Fashion then gives us a pricing. So they said, okay, so you've committed to price harmonization worldwide. Okay, well then let's look at these harmonic prices or harmonized prices. A classic medium-sized double flap Chanel bag currently costs in China 80,500 yuan, which equals roundabout $11,030. Let that sink in. One bag, $11,030. While the same bag in France sells for 9,700 euro, which equals $10,230. That's almost $1,000 price difference. So now that they've harmonized the prices in China, look what they did. They made the bag in China cost almost $1,000 more than in Europe. They did that on purpose, allegedly. Why? Because now they have the excuse in Europe in a couple of months or weeks' time to say, oh, the prices in China are higher than in Europe. We have to up the prices in Europe to harmonize with China. That's how they're going to justify the price increase in Europe. And that's how it keeps going and going and going. And nobody's really, really telling you where it's at. Where it's at? Profit. Profit, profit, profit. The news we heard just a year ago that the Wertheimer family that owns Chanel got paid out by Chanel to the Cayman Islands. $5 billion bonus from all the extra money they earned with Chanel in a year. After taxes, after all employees have been paid, after production costs have been covered, those production costs that they have more to spend on, right? Because they're justifying price increases because of that as well. Interesting that you managed to pay everybody, produce everything, keep the factories running, keep the shops running, and still cash in round about $5 billion in bonus dividends at the end of the year. Huh. I see. So maybe there's something else going on here. Maybe this is not about, sorry, we're not capable of paying production for these bags anymore. It's so expensive to make them. If it were really true that it was like that and you were being honest, then you would not be running home to the bank with $5 billion dividends after everything is paid. You'd have a little bit less of a profit margin left over at the end. But you don't have a tiny leftover profit margin. You got several billions leftover profit margin. So that's it. That's what it is. And so they're telling us exclusive luxury brands are known to enjoy strong pricing power, meaning they can apply increases without necessarily losing customers. But in the past year, there have been more signs that so-called aspirational customers buying entry-level products have curbed their spending. In other words, the wallets, the tiny little card holders, all the little giblets and gidgets, the ones that were bringing in most of the money, by the way, those sales have slowed down. And then Mr. Chanel's Chief Financial Officer, Philippe Blondieu, says Chanel reviews prices of its handbags twice a year, in March and September. Chanel also carries out price increases in line with input cost inflation, he added. Input cost inflation. Input. Something coming from outside in. That, again, it's a subtle way of saying not our fault that we have to raise the prices. It's an input we receive from outside. The outside world keeps costing more, so we have to react to that by upping the prices. No, you don't. You don't. You just want to keep making a bigger earning margin every year. It's something you choose to do. You don't have to. You choose to. Call a spade, honey. Call a spade. All just my opinion and everything just alleged. And then they end by saying that a post-pandemic economic slowdown and a slumping youth jobs market has rattled China and confidence amongst consumers, weighing on shares of luxury groups such as Cartier, owner of Cartier's Richemont, and LVMH. The Christian Dior parent company will be the first luxury group to report third quarter sales on October 10th. The first luxury group to do so as I'm filming this video, it's not October 10th yet, but I'm dying ferret to read their report, their earning report, and for the third quarter of the year 2023. So stay tuned. Maybe we get to analyze that as well together if this video does well and if you enjoyed my content and what I delivered to you today. If you have, please don't forget to thumb up the video. It helps tremendously the algorithm. Subscribe to my channel and let me know your thoughts and prayers down below about this topic. And also leave me a comment if you wish me to do a follow-up video with the reports, third quarter reports, earning reports for Dior, for example. Chanel doesn't release their earning reports all the time. They kind of do it only when they're really happy with them. Yes, you can pay a penalty or like a fee to not release your numbers. Chanel is notorious for doing so for many years. They're very, very secretive. Everything just allegedly. Until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Bye. Mwah.